Good afternoon if you're in Europe. Good morning if you're in the Americas. And good night if you're in Asia. It's great to be back. And today we're going to be talking about failure. So let's hope we don't do a practical test on that. We've had a couple of those in the past, technology glitches and stuff. So it doesn't always go smoothly, but I'm hoping it will today. So unbelievably, we've been doing this for, I think now, 30 live streams. It just feels like time has flown since I first started it. The setup has modified a little bit. I think it's a bit smoother, but largely the same. Trying to keep it really quite simple. None of this kind of like 3 cameras and all that sort of stuff that some of the people manage. I think one of the tips as a project manager for avoiding failure is to keep things as simple as you can, although no more simple than you must. So trying to keep this nice and simple. Not sure how many people we've got. Looks like not very many today. Might be because in many parts of the world, the first Monday in first Monday in May is often non-working day. So it's quite possible that we've got quite a few people on holiday. But those of you who are here, especially Samuel, who has taken the time to say hello in the chat. You're very welcome and glad to have you here. And of course, one of the benefits of the live stream is that I can do stuff live for people who are able to do it, and you can interact with me, I can interact with you, you can ask me questions, put your point of view. But those who can't make it because of the timing, and it's a global world that, yes, it is a sphere, so some people are on the wrong side of it for this to be a convenient time. So catch it on catch up. So glad to have Samuel here. Please do tell me where you're from, Samuel. What part of the world, what your involvement is with project management. I always like to hear. We've also got Hambo Gumbo, who I know is from Britain, in London. So always good to have you here. You'll see that Hambo is a moderator. So all that really means is that he's got the privilege of being able to put links into the chat, which other people can't, but also can deal with any miscreants should anyone abuse the chat. It's only happened once, and it was quite a long time ago. You occasionally get spammers popping in to peddle whatever they're peddling. But anyway, do say hello if you're here and haven't done so, although no, it's not necessary. You feel free to remain anonymous if you wish. So today we're talking about Samuel from Bournemouth in the UK. So that's Dorset. So that's one county along. I'm in Hampshire in the UK, so not very far at all. Bournemouth, second closest airport here, I think, after Southampton. So good to have you here, Samuel. So, what was I going to say? Today we're going to be talking about failure, but I thought I'd just mention a couple of things. In fact, what I'm going to do is call up my browser for a moment, because as the two people who have actually said hello are both in the UK, it's possible that one or both of you might be members of the Association of Project Management, or not members, but still considering the conference. So just to let anyone who's watching this know, firstly, it looks like a great conference, and I will be kind of following up with the conference with some content based on some of the things that are there, but importantly, I will be there at the conference, hoping to meet some people who see me on the channel. Met a couple of people last year, and if you remember last year, I was so taken with some of the talks. I thought it was such a good conference. I did an unscheduled short notice live stream to talk about some of the things that I found particularly impressive, and I will be doing that again if I can, if there's enough there. But I will certainly be making a couple of videos on the back end of it, I think, and I've got to say thank you very much to the Association for Project Management for inviting me to the conference and declaration of interest, comping me a ticket, and I've agreed that I will do a couple of videos for them about the content there. But the conference has two different themes. Let me just see if I can actually click on the conference link, because I think it's very interesting. Oh, there we are. You've got 34 days to secure your place. So you've still got time. There are two streams. Stream 1, Future Lives and Landscapes, is linked to a brand new initiative that APM launched, I think, a couple of weeks ago, looking at project management in the UK. And they'll be looking at kind of how, as a profession, we can strengthen the profession to equip project managers and society in general to make the big changes that we want to make in the UK. And the second stream is about change challenges, tools and techniques. It is fundamentally about learning about change. So there's that kind of two halves which are intimately connected. I think it's going to make a very vibrant, very lively conference. I think probably a lot of people will choose a kind of a preference of stream 1 or stream 2, depending on whether they are kind of practically minded and see themselves as wanting to kind of get in there and get involved in the changes that are going to be happening, that as project managers we're going to be facilitating. Those who are more interested in the learning lessons of how to make change are probably going to opt for stream 2. I'm almost certainly going to try and balance my time across the two. Almost certainly what will happen last year will happen again. I hate streamed conferences because I'm a curious soul and I see two things on at the same time and I want to go to them both, and it's very tricky indeed, but looking forward to that. So if anyone who's watching this between now and what is it? It's the 9th of June. I should check that. Yeah, the 8th of June. Anyone who's watching this between now and the 8th of June thinking this they could do with some really good professional development, good day out, meet lots of project managers, including some big YouTube stars. Well, one big YouTube star. Maybe there'll be others. Maybe Stuart Taylor will be there. Maybe Elizabeth Harrion. Maybe Peter Taylor will be there. None of them. All of them big names. But the main thing is hearing from the speakers. Last year, a whole bunch of fantastic speakers, very few of whom I'd even heard of before the conference. And again, we've got a lot of interesting topics from speakers whose names I don't recognise. So I think that's great. It's nice to have big name speakers, but I think it's also really important to hear from new voices. So do come along if you can. Right, what else have we got here? So Shane Steins has checked in from Ireland. Is APM similar to the PMI? Hambo says yes. I'm going to say yes-ish. So both of them are professional membership bodies who represent project management to industry and represent project managers, and they both are about project managers working together, getting together. So they provide development and fellowship for project managers. Both also produce lots of research. They both produce their own kind of body of knowledge. They both have certification. The big difference, PMI promotes itself as global, although it is firmly based in the United States with a very much US centric culture. APM doesn't so much promote itself as global, although it is available for members globally, and there are many countries in which there are active kind of chapters, if you like. However, it's very much more focused on the UK. I don't know Ireland well enough to know which is likely to be the better regarded, Shane. What I would say is, a tip with all these things is, firstly, you can learn a lot from both. They've both got a lot of great free content on their website. I think APM punches above its weight compared to PMI. I would definitely say that. If you look at the breadth and the quality of the research materials and their publications, when you look at what their budgets must be, just based on their membership numbers, I think they produce proportionately more and proportionately better. In fact, I would say not only proportionately better, in an absolute sense, the quality of APM stuff, almost everything is really top notch, whereas PMI, a lot of stuff that's very disappointing, and some reports that are frankly, I think, can I use the word disgrace in public? Yeah, there are some. Their abuse of statistics is a disgrace in some of them. So, but my tip always is to find out what employers value in the geography you plan to work or want to work, and in the sectors you want to work. Because, for example, if you're working in the UK in the public sector, then almost certainly the APM is going to be the more valuable. If you're working in the US in the in any sector really, then PMI is going to be more valuable. But if you're working in a country like Ireland, then it may be that you aspire to work in the tech sector, and there's a lot of US headquartered organisations who value PMI qualifications. Or it may be that more local organisations, I don't know whether they more likely to recognise APM or PMI. Both are reasonable. I would expect that there are chapters. Let's have a quick look. Let's see if we can pop over. It's a question I've not really thought through, not really researched, but let's just see if we can find evidence of whether there is a special interest group or a kind of a group in Ireland. Doesn't appear to be a branch outside of the UK at the moment. I was fairly sure there were at one point. So, don't know the answer to that one. I'm guessing then for you, Shane, it may be that PMI is the better bet. But look into it and do your own research. But one thing I could say without qualification is browse both associations, or the Association of Project Management Institute's websites frequently, periodically, see what's new in terms of reports, news, ideas, because and they both got very active blogs with interesting people writing interesting things. There's a lot of good free content on both of them, and you don't need to pay for that. You don't need to make a decision, a choice. You just go for both. So, anyway, I feel like we've chatted enough. We've got still relatively few people on the stream at the moment, live, but not to worry. I've got some prepared stuff about failure. And so hopefully when I click the button, we're going to get success, because I don't really want to demo failure. Here we go. There it is. Look at that. So, not sure the what, why, how. Yeah, I think I can deliver on the what, why, how. Let's see. So, you don't need to read this. I know the print is small, but I thought I would just illustrate the fact that you can now ask ChatGPT and Bard what are the reasons of failure. And ChatGPT gave us 7. Lack of planning, lack of resources, poor execution, lack of adaptability, bad timing, lack of skill or knowledge, and external factors. That is sod's law, fundamentally. I think that is a great answer. It is entirely unsurprising. There's nothing in there that makes me think, wow, that's a new insight. But it is a really good answer. If you were doing a GCSE or A-level or high school or even college level essay about failure, and you had these key points, you'd probably score plenty on there. Bard came in fairly similar. Not enough information or resources to succeed, not have the right skills or experience, not have a clear plan or strategy, not be willing to put in the hard work. That's a nice one, actually. It's an underrepresented cause of failure. It's just not trying hard enough, not doing the work, not, turning up and being diligent and rigorous is such an important factor in success. Being faced by unexpected challenges or obstacles, or indeed expected challenges or obstacles, I suppose. Giving up too easily, that's another nice one. I think probably, whilst they're both good and they both contain lots of good stuff, I'm going to give it to Bard on that one. I know lots of people are doing YouTube videos at the moment about, Bard or ChatGPT, which is better. On this one question, I kind of like the terse but interesting ideas there. The personal responsibility for failure coming in there from Bard, which doesn't really appear so much from ChatGPT. However, it may be that failure is just a mindset, and there's a famous quote comes out the world of NLP. And by the way, if NLP is a subject or a term you've heard, but I'm not really sure about, I'm rolling out an NLP course, a free NLP course on my other YouTube channel, which is the Management Courses YouTube channel. I should probably find a link to that channel and paste it into the chat. And on that channel at the moment, I'm rolling out 2 different courses, one on Tuesdays, one on Thursdays, I think, from recollection. The NLP course is rolling out a lesson a week on Thursdays. And in fact, I can check that just a second. Yeah. So sales on Tuesdays, so there's a sales one today. I should remember that. And I think one of the very first lectures, videos in the course on NLP was, just trying to multitask here. Let me just get that here. Hambo has put the word grit into the chat, and that's a word that I actually used and then replaced in my presentation because I kind of wanted to go more generic, but nice word, grit, Hambo. So there's the link to the Management Courses YouTube channel. In one of the early videos on that course, talk about presuppositions of NLP, and one of the presuppositions of NLP is this one: there's no such thing as failure, there is only feedback. What that means is that it's a reframing of failure as being something that gives you feedback, gives you information about what you've done and how it works. But I thought, what with Bard and ChatGPT being so bright, I ought to do some work for myself, something new, to find a new way of thinking about failure that might help me to understand it better, but also give you, my audience, a little bit of insight, and maybe some of you will think, that's a way of thoughting about it. That's a way of thinking about it that I hadn't thought of. Let's see. I've got 3 different types of failure, and the first is subjective failure, and I'm defining subjective failure as where your perception of reality does not match your expectation of the outcome. But the important thing there is your perception of reality does not match the expectation of the outcome. So success is that shaded part, the extent to which your perception and your expectation overlap, if you like. However, your expectation can move. You can set your expectation either way high, up, or way low. And the reality of this is that if you set your expectation at a realistic level in the middle, then you are likely to have the biggest overlap. You can kind of see that if I move that expectation circle up, the area of overlap will diminish. So to reduce subjective failure, you need to set your expectation to be realistic. But there's more, because your perception of reality can also be accurate or inaccurate, and it can either be too far to one side or too far to another side. And again, if it is possible to have an over-optimistic perception of what's happened, which gives you a sense of big success, but it's also possible to have an overly pessimistic perception of what has happened, and therefore have even less success than you might reasonably expect. So the area of overlap, this success area here, is fundamentally driven by the reality of your perception and the realism of your expectation, and that's subjective failure, or subjective success really is what I've illustrated, because that's the overlap. The next type of failure is what I've called evaluative failure, and this is where we actually try to get rid of the subjective elements of, oh, this is what I think I see, this is how I kind of perceive things, and instead focus on a formal assessment against a set of criteria. And therefore evaluative failure is where you fail on too many of the objective criteria, and I'm not going to define what too many is. Maybe in a mission critical, safety critical system scenario, one failure among 100 criteria is a failure, and therefore it's too much. It might be that if you're trying to create something new and innovative and to create a kind of product you're going to bring to the market for a minimum viable product, then multiple failures is fine as long as you've got enough success. So we don't need to define how many ticks and crosses mark an overall failure, but this is affected in very much the same way by three factors, really. And the first of those is you are to get a good measure of your evaluative failure, you have to choose the right criteria. If you choose the wrong criteria, it doesn't matter whether you meet them or not. It doesn't tell you anything about your true success or failure. And the second is the way that you conduct your evaluation. Are you being subjective in your conduct of the evaluation, or are you being properly objective? And we need to define the method of conduct of evaluation alongside the definition of the criteria if you're going to do this properly. And finally, the extent to which you succeed or fail on any criterion depends on the performance standard and to the extent to which you actually meet it. And it might be a binary thing, yes or no, or it might be that there's a kind of sliding scale and there's something in between a tick and a cross, I don't know. But yes, that performance standard and whether you meet it is bringing us towards my third type of failure, and that is objective failure. And objective failure is about the match between your reality and your aspiration. If your reality matches your aspiration, that's success. If your reality does not match your aspiration at all, that's failure. And of course, if it partially matches, then, well, either you're a glass half full person, that's partial success, or you're a glass half empty person, and that's partial failure. So you can take your choices there. Oh, so Hamburg Gumball says UAT testing springs to mind. So UAT testing, user acceptance testing. Not sure when you wrote that, Hambo, what you were listening to. But of course, user acceptance testing is very much about setting criteria against which you're going to ask your users to test something. But the reality is that often users will apply subjective criteria, so I'm not sure which one you put in, but there have been a number of videos. I hadn't really thought to bring this up, but I've done a number of videos recently. Let me just call up some recent videos. YouTube channel, here we go. Videos. So not long ago I did a video on requirements traceability matrix, which is an important part of building up the criteria for testing. So let me just get ready to grab that. And I also have done a video on user testing. And I've searched it wrong. Put it in the wrong box. Where are we? This makes good air, doesn't it? Here we go. Yeah, I've done a video on user acceptance testing, so let me just... In this video, we're going started playing. So the user acceptance testing video, if you want to know more about what Hambo's mentioned, UAT video, there we go. And I think that's a good companion to that, is to understand requirements traceability matrix. So I'll paste the link into that. It's a good kind of link there. Thank you. Right, where are we? So objective failure is the degree of objective failure is linked to the level of match between your aspiration and your reality, and that of course gives us 3 places where failure can occur. And the first of them is to set the wrong aspiration, to set the wrong goal, the wrong objectives, the wrong scope, the wrong specifications. If you don't do your homework and you don't set the right aspiration, you're going to end up either not being able to achieve it, and therefore reality won't match your aspiration, or, I suppose worse still, you do achieve the wrong thing, which is not good. The next component, I guess, of this objective failure is in the process that gets us from aspiration to reality. So underneath the arrow, we've got poor planning, poor decisions, poor processes, poor reactions. Now, we know all about planning. We're project managers. Poor decisions often arise because we don't have the right information, we don't have the right decision-making process, we don't have the right people in the room. So there's lots of reasons why we make poor decisions. The processes, the whole kind of process of delivery and control and monitoring are wrong. And then reactions is my way of saying that you can get objective failure because of things that happen in the external world. Shift happens, stuff happens. And I could have put down external events, but actually external events are going to happen. What really matters for us as project managers is not to throw up our hands in horror and say, oh, something bad's happened, but it's actually how do we respond to those external events. Failure doesn't come because the external event scuppers the project. It comes because the external event comes along and we do not react or respond in an appropriate manner. Now, I am not saying that there is always a winning response, a winning reaction to an external event. That would be absurd. However, far too often it just becomes a convenience to say, well, if this hadn't happened, everything would have been fine. So personal responsibility. That's why I like Bard better than ChatGPT on that particular question. And then there's reality, and this one's a bit different because you get reality. Reality is what you get. So that can't be a failure in a sense, unless you set the wrong goal, objective, scope, specification. But what we do sometimes see is the law of unintended consequences. We set a goal, we set a specification, we delivered it, and then as a result of delivering it, we got what we wanted, but we also got something else that we didn't. So this is the be careful what you wish for story. The fact that if you are not careful, and you will deliver what you wanted to deliver, and you will live to regret it. And that does happen. So there we have my 3 types of failure. We've got our subjective failure, our evaluative failure, and our objective failure. So I'm going to, before moving on, flip the screen and just see if anything news come in. Nothing news come in, but if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, observations, if you want to clarify some of the comments you've made, Humbo, for the group, I think, especially the UAT one, which I didn't quite get. I know where you're going with grit, so we will come to that. Yeah, if you want to say anything, please do. It will be good to kind of engage with some discussion. I'm just going to Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So, nothing coming through, but I'll keep an eye on the chat, and we'll move on. So, next up, the causes of project failure. I'm not sure where I read this. I've been trying to find. I spent a chunk of this afternoon trying to find it out where I read this, because it's stuck in my mind as a brilliant idea, and so I thought I'd share it with you. Causes for project failure. 80% people, and please don't analyse this pie chart, or indeed analyse the number. 80% of the cause of project failure is people, and 20% is process. Absolutely no idea. No, I don't know whether anyone's ever done any research on it. I do have a book which I meant to try and reread over the weekend and just did not get time to reread it. It's called Project Management Disasters. It's quite long in the tooth now. What is it? It's 2005. 2005. I remember getting it as a review copy when I was doing reviews for Training Journal, I think it was, back in the day. What was I going to say? Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is kind of, as you read it, you realise that, and my experience is the same, you realise that, yes, there are all sorts of kind of technical, processy, project management-y things that we need to be doing to assure project success. But when you think about why do things go wrong, it's usually more often than not people not doing the process, people not following the process, people not taking care of decisions, people getting in the way, getting in the tears, politics, all that stuff. So that's why I quite like this kind of idea that project failure is 20% process and 80% people related. And I'd be interested people to put in the chat whether they think that's broadly a fair representation of their experience or expectations. So please do put what you think about the causes of project failure. But why that stuck in my mind is not because I thought that was a kind of revolutionary thought, because I think probably if you've been following my stuff for any length of time, my thinking, you will at least know that I think, people and communication is a large part of project management, much more important. And I'm sure if you didn't agree with that to some extent, you'd probably have switched off long ago from my content. What I thought was interesting, they then pointed out, I pressed the wrong button there, didn't I? Because I had the wrong thing up. That's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So let's just go to here and press that. Structure of most project training is 80% process and 20% people. And I have to say, having had a little bash on Project Management Institute earlier on in response to Shane's question, one of the good things I think that PMI did about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago now, when they revised their syllabus for their major project management professional certification exam. And their project management professional certification exam is, remind yourselves that PMP is actually for them the most senior level of a project management certification they offer. APM, by the way, offers a sort of broadly equivalent tier, but actually a higher tier still of membership. But when they overhauled their PMP certification syllabus, what they call their examination content outline, or ECO, and it went live, I think, in 21. No, it was published in 21, and I think went live in 22, but don't quote me on that. Certainly don't let that get recorded and distributed to the whole world on YouTube. They changed the syllabus massively, and now I think the kind of processy project management, techie sort of technical project management stuff is about 50% of the exam syllabus, and I think the people bit. It's about 42% of the syllabus. The other 8% is business orientation, and that includes things like business benefits, but it also includes things like business awareness and business acumen, which to a large extent is people as well. So they kind of redress the balance rather well, I think, in the PMP certificate exam. But when I look back to all the training I do whilst, for core project management, the reality is that, even my core project management courses now probably follow that broad 80% process. And there's a good reason for that, of course. That reason is simple. It's because we get our people skills training, our leadership training, our motivation training, our communication skills training separately from different sources. If you were to try to do a full core project management skills course, which could take 2-3 days, my kind of primary model is a 3-day course. I have 2-day courses and 1-day courses, and you'll know if you bought any of my core courses online, we've got the Fast Start, which is 3 hours of video, Skills Mastery, 6 hours of video, which is equivalent to a 2-day course, 2-day live course, and then the immersion program, which is 16 hours of video, I think, which is the equivalent of actually a 4-day course that I ran a few times and then cut down for my 3-day course. So, but even those, they don't have that 80% people. They are 80% process. They are 80% project management, because if you were to then build in, even if you said that people could manage with a 1-day course on project management and know enough about project management, that would still demand another 4 days of soft skills training alongside it. So, and I don't think that's enough. I think 2 days is the bare minimum for anyone who's serious about delivering moderate sized projects. And so that suggests another 8 days of soft skills training, which of course I'd be delighted to offer. So there we go. Once They Name Me I Wasn't is in the house. Well. That's, I think, the first time you've actually popped onto a live stream and declared yourself. Once They Name Me I Wasn't puts in some very amusing and I have to say some overly flattering, some embarrassing to me comments. So thank you very much for all your comments, and it's great to have you in the call. And yes, Dr. Mike, I am the king, and if you watch British television on Saturday, you will see me processing to Westminster Abbey and shoving the false King Charles out of the way and getting myself crowned in Westminster Abbey. And no, I won't. But it's nice of you to say so. So back to the point I was making. The reality is that we can't reasonably run 10-day project management training courses with 2 days of project management and 8 days of other stuff. We certainly can't do 4 days of project management stuff and another 16 days of of people stuff, much as I'd love to. I'm mulling over whether there would be a market for a long, intensive, small numbers online project management course covering all this stuff over a period. And the problem I've got is not that I don't think there's enough people would be wanting to do it or even prepared to pay for it. It's, would there be enough people who would all be in the same time zone and able to do that? So we'll see. It's kind of something I'll be mulling over the summer. I've always wanted to do that course that does everything and covers everything for a single cohort of people who kind of learn loads and loads of stuff, but we'll see. Now, I did also say that I would talk about how to prime yourself for success. So we don't want to fail. And we want to succeed. So what is the secret? And I have to say, even I'm a little bit disappointed in the answer, because I thought long and hard about this, and I think really it's trivially simple. Preparation. Preparation is everything. Yeah, there's a saying in the British Army, proper prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. But it's true. It's absolutely true. But this is not just about preparing before the day. It's about a lifetime of preparation. It's about doing what you are doing today, listening to me. It's about doing what I did, all day today, preparing this course. I wasn't just preparing this live stream. I wasn't just preparing a live stream. I was also thinking things through and trying to, in this case, not learn from others, but learn from internalizing my own ideas. So the way I do some of these is I just kind of make a promise and then figure out how I can deliver on it on the day. Get up early and start on that, and that's exactly what I've done today. My goodness, California's woken up. What is it? It's it's coming up to 10 o'clock, isn't it? It's half 9, 10 o'clock in San Diego. So welcome, Wayne, from San Diego. Nice to have you here. But yeah, preparation is about the long-term preparation that you do in preparing yourself for your career and preparing yourself for the next step in your career and the next step and the next step. It's the continued learning. It's the continued talking to new and different people, finding out about different things. It's going to conferences. It's going to events. It's attending seminars, webinars, live streams, watching videos, reading magazine articles, reading books. It's all that stuff that we love on this channel. It's that kind of keep on learning mindset, and it's about not being blasé and saying I know how this is going to go, so I'll just go into it blind. It's about that kind of preparation too. But failure will still happen, and there's something actually I often tell people when I'm training them, and again, this is another thing about a training course I've always wanted to run but never had the nerve in this case. The fact is we learn more from our failures than from our successes often. And when I'm with a group of experienced professionals, managers, whatever, and I've worked at all levels in organisations, from new graduates and kind of admin assistants, training them project management and soft skills, all the way up to working with senior leadership teams within Fortune 500 companies in the US, FTSE 100 companies in the UK, global multinationals, government departments. I've worked at all levels in all sorts of organisations. One of the things that I find everyone can sign up to is that when they look back at the lessons they've learned in the world of work, as many or more of them have come from failures than from successes. And the point I make to managers and leaders is our job is not to prevent our followers and our staff and our team members from making mistakes and from failing. It is to prevent them from making the wrong mistakes and failing in a way that is catastrophic for either them or their careers or us or our organisations. Letting people make mistakes and helping them to learn from them is really important. And I've always kind of fancied... and there's a question in my mind: can I devise a training course which is designed to set people up to fail after fail after fail after fail, so that they will learn really well, and yet, despite failing after failing after failing after failing, they don't get demotivated? And I think that's a tremendously difficult thing to do, and I've never had the nerve to even sit down and think about it in detail how I might do it, because I'm not sure that I've got the skills as a trainer to do it. I'm not even sure whether it's doable, but in principle it ought to be, because we learn so much from our failures. And so not only must we prepare so that we can minimise our failures, but we must also expect failures. Shift happens, things go wrong. And in fact, my book, Risk Happens, actually started out with the title Shift Happens until I was, for various reasons, kind of compelled to change its title, despite the fact there are lots of other books called Shift Happens. Someone promised me that they were going to sue me if I used the title Shift Happens. So I had to change the name to Risk Happens. Things go wrong in life, and that's the reality of it. So we have to not only prepare so that we can succeed, we also have to know how to handle failure. I'm tempted to say it over to you, Hambo, because you've got this one. But let's take it through. I've got 5 strategies for dealing with failure, and the first one is honesty. And primarily, be honest with yourself. Own up to the fact that you have failed. Something you have done has caused a failure. It doesn't mean that you are to blame, and you haven't produced the slide for this one, but many of you will be familiar with my favourite movie quote, blame is for God and small children, which comes from I don't know whether it's in the new movie Papillon, because I've never seen it, but the original Papillon movie from the 70s with Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen. Marvellous film, gruelling to watch, and I can only assume that the remake is as gruelling or more so, because the times we live in. But in that movie, Louis Degas, played by Dustin Hoffman, says that blame is for God and small children. What he means there is that, unless you are omnipotent, or you can't really know who's to blame and apportion it properly, or unless you're a child, you shouldn't be throwing around blame. It doesn't help. It doesn't solve any problems. It doesn't fix the world. It doesn't move you forward. It doesn't deal with the failure. Be honest with yourself that there is a failure. Be honest about the causes, but don't look for blame. Look for fixes, and then, having found fixes, look for ways to prevent recurrence. One of the best problem-solving methods is the 8Ds problem-solving method, and I can't remember the 8Ds off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. Obviously, if anyone really wants to know, I will do. Should do a video on that, actually. But the 8Ds problem-solving method, one of the steps, and I can't even remember what it is and what it begins with in D, but basically the idea is that you prevent a further recurrence. And the principle in Japanese is called pokiyoke. It's about designing out the possibility of failure, and it's a very simple example of pokiyoke, one of my favourites of all time, which I can use. My old favourite used to be. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. That's why. My old favourite used to be cassettes, but most people don't remember cassette tapes with a little tab you can break off. But this is an SD card. This has got my latest set of videos on it. Actually, it's the audio. It's 32 megabyte card. It's got the audio from my latest set of videos on it. And if you look, there's a kind of notch. I'm probably need to put something white behind it, whitish, so you can see that it's not symmetric, and that means you can't put it in the wrong way. If you put it in the wrong way, then you'd get the wrong charge to these metal pins, and it would damage the thing. So to stop people putting it in the wrong way, it's got a notch cut out which registers. It's also like old cassettes, by the way. You probably can't quite see it, and this camera might not focus, but just here is a thing you can lock to actually make it unwritable, so you can't write onto it and erase or overwrite stuff. So that's pokiyoke. That's designing out the possibility of failure and mistakes. So honesty. Be honest about the mistakes, the failure that you've got. Be honest to the people around you, because they need to work on it with you, and be honest about it to your bosses, as the people who are paying, and be honest about it with yourself. And I pressed the wrong button again. Next is resilience, and resilience is that kind of bounce back ability to say, okay, it's all gone horribly wrong, but okay, I'll take my licks. I'll brush myself down. I'll possibly have a stiff drink if that's my preference, or I'll, go lie down in a dark room for 5-10 minutes, breathe deeply, and then I'll get on with it. The next thing, which I think is really, really super important, is curiosity. Get curious about what happened. What what happened and what are the options you've got to fix it, because curiosity is the best way to deal with failure. If you're curious about all the different things that could have happened and that you could do now, then you're bound to find the right option. The next is, don't try and deal with failure on your own. I mean, not least because no matter how resilient you are, you're bound to be feeling a bit down about it. Be honest about it with other people and draw them in and draw in collaboration. If you failed, he says, bashing the table, and I don't know for effect, and I don't know whether that's coming out on the thing. I'll do it on the microphone. If you failed, that probably sounds horrible. Maybe it's a bit ASMR. I haven't got headphones on, so I've no idea what that sounded like. If you failed, there's a good chance you will not see the causes of failure and the solutions as objectively as you might want to. Collaborating will help you with that. And finally, the original version of the slide at about 3 p.m. UK time today, so about 2 hours before, this said grit. So, well, Hambo and I are on sort of the same wavelength on a lot of things. Now, grit is a term coined by Angela Duckworth. There's a marvellous TED video of Angela Duckworth talking about grit. I'm not going to go looking for it now, but if anyone knows it, it actually looks like the only moderator in the room at the moment is Hambo. So if you happen to know the TED video and care to dig it up quickly and paste in the link, please do. But Angela Duckworth talks about grit. She's written a marvellous book about it, Grit, the Power of Persuasion and Passion and Perseverance. What she discovered through her research is that one of the biggest indicators of success of young children in the classroom was not their kind of native intelligence, it was their determination to succeed, their ability. And grit is kind of a combination of determination to succeed, passion to get the thing done, resilience in the face of setbacks, and willing to kind of persevere and keep going. Thank you, Hambo, for pasting that in. You'll hear my thank you about 30 seconds after you pasted it. Grit is a good word, but it's probably not one that translates well to non-English speakers, because it's just kind of, So grit and determination is a kind of idiomatic phrase in the UK, so I've chosen determination there. But I think determination for me, that's about saying I will get past this failure and on to success. However, cycle back to honesty a moment. There is absolutely no point in being determined to succeed when success is no longer possible, or the cost of success is no longer justified by the value of success. And that's where honesty comes in. And when you have a setback, we may need to go through a change control process and do a little kind of mini business case. What effort does it take to correct the failure, and what value do we get from correcting the failure? Because sometimes, the right thing to do is to walk away. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. If anyone knows where that comes from, put it in the chat. I've noticed that Hambo's posted what I assume is the Angela Duckworth TED Talk into the chat, but I'm just going to acknowledge that since I've looked at the chat, it looks like we've got Amayo Filium from Uganda. It's great to have someone from Africa. We usually get one or two from the African continent, but so many different countries and cultures there. I'm going to bet we've had people from Uganda, maybe even you, before, but it's nice to have you there. There, Hambo knows the song, The Gambler, yes. And I can't remember the name of the singer. It's going to bother me now, but Hambo will probably pop it in straight away. Anyway, we've been going for nearly an hour, so it's time to head towards a wrap. So let me just point out that there are a bunch of other videos that you can watch on my channel with takes on failure, different takes on failure. The failure mode and effect analysis, FMEA video, bottom middle there, and the 5 whys Kenny Rogers, that's who it is, and the 5 whys video middle top. Those are formal methods for establishing cause. 5 whys, not very formal and not very reliable. Failure mode and effects analysis, much more rigorous and formal. So those are things that a project manager should know. The 3 of the other 4, failure and blame, stupid, 3 kinds of stupid, and how to learn from failure. They are largely kind of me talking about my perceptions, my ideas, thoughts that I've had. So if you've enjoyed kind of me rambling about different thoughts, then you'll find 3 different ways of thinking about failure in those that are different to things I've said today and other things you will have heard probably. And there are links to all of those in the description to this video, so you can kind of make yourself a little watch party, watch list after you've finished watching the live stream. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on this because there is a link in the in the description to 2 website articles which look at these in a bit more detail. But I did a website article, and then I did a video course based on these 10 points of project failure. These are not reasons, they're points of failure, and within each I've come up with a number of primary reasons, and obviously there are secondaries as well, and I think I came up with 61 primary reasons why projects fail or failures happen on projects. But they all kind of link to these 10 major kind of points of failure around definition, governance, planning, politics, stakeholder engagement, resources, project management, testing, quality, implementation, and external factors. It's not surprising this looks a little bit kind of like a list of project management knowledge areas. Again, it will be familiar to some of you that I don't think and I know they've abandoned the knowledge areas formally from the PMBOK guide, but the PMI had 10 knowledge areas, and I always thought there were other knowledge areas that they didn't kind of acknowledge. So this isn't just a rehash of those knowledge areas. For example, there's nothing here about contracting and procurement, but of course that comes in under resources. It comes in under, as does costing come in under resources. So, but you can read the article for free. There's a link in the description. But if you want to find a way of donating to the channel, of course there's always a super chat, and there's the buy me a coffee link on the channel page. But if you want to donate a little bit of money to the channel and get something for it, then today's offer is my video course, How to Avoid Project Failure. It basically takes those 10 dimensions of failure and the 61 causes within it, and turns them into a series of videos where I kind of narrate them over slides, as I'm doing here. It's only $27, but with the link in the description, or with the code HAPF, which stands for how avoid project failure, HAPF 20 YouTube, you'll get a 20% off that. So it's going to be $22 US plus whatever local taxes. So that's the kind of cost of a mid-sized book. It's not very expensive. So if you kind of like this content, you want to think more about failure in a more formal way than some of the videos, and you're not a reader and you don't want to read the articles on the website, and you perhaps want a little bit expanded, then do have a look at that. It's there for you. So we're coming to the end. Next time, which is going to be the first Tuesday in June, 6th of June, which is the day after I get back from a short holiday. So hopefully I'll have plenty of time to prepare. Nominally, we're going to be talking about portfolio careers. I haven't really thought this one through very much, but I did think about all the different things project managers can do with their careers. Excuse me, I'm going to just mute and cough. Hopefully I'm unmuted. Um, yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm just going to find something to talk about around project management careers and the sorts of things we do as project managers. I've noticed once they named me, I wasn't. I think it's one of the most cryptic YouTube handles. It kind of feels metaphysical and existential to me. Post-implementation is a major point of failure. Absolutely, yes. And there's a big debate to be had if we're getting all metaphysical as to whether that's a project failure. It's like, where does the project end? Does it end at the end of implementation, or does it continue into post-implementation? Benefits management, yeah, absolutely. Again, you probably know this. Most of you, if you're on the stream, kind of know me. Benefits management is a really important thing for me, and I would certainly say that benefits management is absolutely critical to success, because what does success really mean? It means getting benefit from the stuff you do and getting more benefit than the cost you put in or the effort you put in. So I think I'm just going to call it Once They. Once They is absolutely spot on there. And for anyone who needs to know, I do have a project benefits management course. Whilst it's not currently a deal running, I will paste in a link for anyone who thinks project benefits management, that is the future of project management. And it is. I mean, it's one of these things. I think if you know all about how to do benefits management now, I think it is going to give you an edge on the market of being a project manager. I think organisations are going to hire, all other things being equal, which they never are, but all other things being equal, an organisation is going to hire a project manager who knows and understands benefits management and can do good benefits management work over one who really is not familiar with or not simpatico with the idea of benefits management. I suspect in 10 years' time, I hope in 10 years' time, it'll be the other way around, which is that if you don't know about benefits management, then you will be in a minority and you won't be able to get a job. Or a serious one. So if you want to learn about benefits management, I think it's probably my best project management course, and it's very popular. It's my fastest selling course, has been since I launched it. It outsells any of my individual core courses, although I think in total the core courses still outsell it. Spot on, Mike. My handle is about avoiding the confinement once you are defined. Be like water, quantum. Excellent. Right, so for those of you who kind of want to try and trace once they named me, I wasn't through his I have no idea, absolutely no idea, through their comments on my videos, get a sense of the kind of person they are. Your benefits course is amazing. Benefits is the future. Organisations finally getting it. Well, it's great to hear that you've actually done the course. Now I'm now going to... No, I shouldn't. I kind of want to... It's a little bit of me wants to go through the back end, find the names of everyone who signed in, because I don't remember anyone signed in with that handle. See if I can guess who you are. I won't. Frankly, got better things to do, but I'm kind of curious now. But it's actually nice to meet you on the live stream. Now, we are coming towards the end. I've got through the kind of content I hope to get through. So just the reminder, 6th of June is the next live stream. We'll be talking about careers in some way, some shape or form, and the different kind of careers you can have as a project manager. And I think I've had a portfolio career probably for the last 20 odd years, and some of them have been very odd. So I think I've got something to say about that. I know people with all sorts of different balances of different things. So people who are interested in, how do you sell courses, how do you write books, how do you become a speaker, how do you do contracting? I've not actually done contracting. How do you do consulting as an independent consultant? How do you do coaching? A lot of those things I've done. Some of them I still do. So I'm going to talk a bit about that. Don't often talk about myself. Tell stories, but I don't often talk about myself, so I might do that. But there'll be something about careers there. And then on the 8th of June, if you are in the UK and you are minded to go to the APM conference, then please do let me know in advance. You can easily find my email address either from the YouTube channel page, the About part of it, or from the website onlinepmcourses.com. Not hard to guess that my email is mike@onlinepmcourses.com. Let me know you'll be there. We'll try and figure out how to meet up. I'm sure all of you watching this are subscribers to my weekly newsletter. It comes out Thursdays. It will even come out on Thursday while I'm at the conference through the magic of scheduling. I remember being out to lunch with some friends, and one of my friends got a ping on his phone saying he'd got an email. He doesn't get that many emails, so it pings every time on his phone. And he looked at it and he said, "You've just sent an email out. One of your regular emails out." I said, "Yes." He said, "How did you do that? I didn't see you doing that." Technology. So I will be preparing something. So, but it would be lovely to see some of you, or anyone really, at the APM conference. So if you are planning to go, drop me a line. We'll arrange to meet for a coffee. I have absolutely no idea what the layout of the venue is, but we'll find some way to get in touch. If only there was this device you could carry around in your pocket that would allow you to communicate with people to find out where they are in no time at all. Anyway, nobody's been saying anything. I'm kind of winding up, so I'll hang on for another few minutes, and if nobody's got anything else to say, I shall wish you adieu. Have a really nice day. For those of you who are in the south of England, as our friend from Bournemouth is, who was that? That was Samuel. And Hambo, London's pretty south. You probably got the same weather I have. I'm looking out the window and it's nice and bright. You probably noticed it's got brighter on this side of my face, even though the brighter light in the room is there. The big bright light in the sky is over there, and it was actually overcast when I started the stream, so I didn't bring the blinds down. So it's lovely. It's going to be a nice evening. So take care, all of you, and I will see you all in a month's time. It's been great to share my evening with you, and I'll see you soon.